Welcome back in lecture series on topic electrochemistry. Today in this lecture, we will learn what is meant by electrochemical cells, their construction, cell reactions, and electrolysis of molten sodium chloride. So let us see what is meant by electrochemical cell. Electrochemical cell is a device which is used to study chemical reactions electrically. It consists of such a type of two electronic conductor made up of metal or carbon or graphite. So electrochemical cell consists of two electronic conductors such as metal rods, plates or carbon rods dipped in electrolytic solution. That is called as an ionic conductor. What is meant by electronic conductor and ionic conductor that we have studied in previous lecture. Electronic conductor means those conductors through which direct flow of electron takes place. And electrolytic conductor or ionic conductor means those conductors through which the movement of charge takes place. So this difference we have already studied. So electrochemical cell is a device in which two electronic conductors such as metal plates are dipped in an electrolytic solution. That means electronic conductors are dipped in ionic conductor. And the chemical reaction occurring in electrochemical cell that are called as electrochemical reaction. And electrochemical reactions involve oxidation and reduction reaction. So electrochemical reactions are made of oxidation and reduction half reaction. And these reactions, that means oxidation or reduction, these reactions takes place on the surface of this electrode. So electrodes are the surfaces on which oxidation or reduction reaction takes place. And these oxidation reduction reaction involves transfer of electron from one species to another species. So that is nothing but redox reaction takes place. You know that oxidation means loss of electron and reduction means gain of electron. And the electrode at which oxidation takes place, that is loss of electron takes place, it is called as anode. And an electrode at which reduction reaction takes place, that means gain of electron takes place, that is called as cathode. So oxidation takes place at anode and reduction takes place at cathode. And in electrolytic cell, here the cations moves towards cathode and anions attracted towards anode, that is positively charged plate. There are two types of electrochemical cell: electrolytic cell and voltaic or galvanic cell. Now in electrolytic cell, non-spontaneous redox reaction takes place. Redox reactions are of two types: spontaneous and non-spontaneous. Non-spontaneous reactions means those reactions do not take place of its own. and some external help is required. That means in electrolytic cell, to take place a redox reaction, electricity is required, and therefore it is a non-spontaneous reaction. For example, if you want sodium metal and chlorine gas from sodium chloride, then it is not a spontaneous reaction. When electricity is passed through the molten sodium chloride, then you will get chlorine gas and sodium metal. That means that reaction, that decomposition of sodium chloride is not spontaneous process. To take place that decomposition, to carry out the decomposition of sodium chloride, electricity is consumed. It is used. So you have to carry out the electrolysis of molten sodium chloride so that you will get chlorine gas. But in galvanic cell, spontaneous redox reaction takes place. That means chemical reactions takes place. That is, redox reaction takes place of its own. For example, if you add zinc powder in copper sulfate solution, then displacement reaction takes place. And it does not require any external help such as electricity is not required. Zinc displaces copper from copper sulfate solution. So that process is spontaneous reaction. Remember that in electrolytic cell, non-spontaneous reactions takes place, and in galvanic cell, spontaneous reactions takes place. Second point about these two, that is, electricity is used or consumed to take place electrolysis. And in voltaic cell or galvanic cell, electricity is generated. It is produced from a chemical reaction. And in electrolytic cell, electrical energy is converted into chemical energy. As electricity is required to take place the chemical reaction, electric energy is converted into chemical energy. But in case of galvanic cell, chemical energy is converted into electrical energy. Means chemical reaction produces electrical energy. So electricity is generated from chemical reaction in galvanic cell. Another important point about electrolytic cell and galvanic cell, that is here in this electrolytic cell, electrolyte is there, and in electrolyte rods, graphite rods or platinum rods are dipped, and these two rods are connected to positive and negative terminal of the battery. Here anode, here the rod which is connected to positive terminal of the battery, that is called as an anode, and the rod which is connected to negative terminal of the battery, that is called as cathode. So in case of electrolytic cell, anode is positively charged and cathode is negatively charged. But in galvanic cell, anode is negatively charged. Here zinc electrode acts as a negative electrode. As here the zinc rod loses zinc ions and 2 electrons, and this electron remain on this rod, and therefore it becomes negatively charged. Whereas this electron through the external circuit passes towards this cathode, and here these copper ions accept this electron, and therefore this electrode is positively charged. So in galvanic cell, anode is negative and cathode is positive. Exactly, polarity is changed. Remember here that in both these cases, oxidation takes place at anode and reduction takes place at cathode. But in case of electrolytic cell, that anode is positively charged and cathode is negatively charged. And in case of galvanic cell, anode is negatively charged and cathode is positively charged. Now we will see here the electrolytic cell. In general, their construction and cell reactions. So electrolytic cell consists of a container in which electrolyte is placed and two electrodes, inert electrodes such as graphite. Electrode may be reactive or inert. Those electrodes which take part in a chemical reaction that are called as a reactive, and those which do not take part that are called as a inert electrode. So two inert electrodes are immersed in electrolyte and these are connected to a source of direct current, that is battery. Such a type of a container is there, and in this container any electrolyte, here sodium chloride is there, any molten or aqueous electrolyte is taken, and in this electrolyte the graphite rods or platinum rods are dipped, and these rods are connected to the direct source of current, source of direct current, that is battery, and the electrode which is connected to positive terminal of the battery, that is called as the anode, and electrode which is connected to negative terminal of the battery, that is called as a cathode in case of electrolytic cell. And when electricity is passed through this, then anions, negatively charged ions, they migrate towards the anode which is positively charged, and at anode they get discharged, they loses their charge, that means they loses electron, that means oxidation takes place, and at cathode the positively charged ion, that is cations, they gain the electron, that means reduction takes place at cathode. So electrons flow from anode to the cathode where cations undergo reduction. So let us see here one example of electrolytic cell and electrolysis process, that is electrolysis of molten sodium chloride. Now same construction is same, that is a container is there, and in this container consists of what? Contain the fused sodium chloride or molten sodium chloride is taken in this container, and in this electrolytic cell, graphite electrode which act as an inert electrode which do not take part in this reaction. So these two graphite rods are immersed in it or dipped in it, and these two are connected by metallic wire to the source of direct current, that is battery, and one graphite electrode is connected to positive terminal of the battery, that is called as an anode, and another graphite electrode is connected to negative terminal of the battery, and that is called as a cathode. So this is about what? The construction of the electrolytic cell. Sometimes the question is asked like this: explain the electrolysis of molten sodium chloride. Then you have to write first the construction of this cell. These points will be there in construction of the cell. So it consists of the container in which fused sodium chloride is taken. Two graphite electrodes are immersed in it, and these are connected by a metallic wire to the source of direct current, that is battery, and one electrode is connected to positive terminal of the battery which is called as anode, and another electrode is connected to negative terminal of the battery which is called as a cathode. This is about the construction of the electrolytic cell which contain molten sodium chloride. Now we will see the reactions. When potential is applied, then sodium ions, that is cations, these ions migrate this electrolyte is a molten sodium chloride. So already there are sodium ions and chloride ions are there. But when potential is applied, then these ions migrate towards the negative electrode, and anions, that is chloride ions, migrate towards positive electrode, that is anode. And at anode, oxidation takes place. That means loss of electron takes place. And two chloride ions, they loses their charge. They loses 2 electrons and form 2 chlorine atom. But these chlorine atoms are unstable, so they combine and gives you chlorine gas. So this process is called as a secondary process, and this process is called as a primary process. So oxidation takes place in 2 steps at anode, and the overall oxidation reaction at anode, you can write like this: 2 Cl ions gives you Cl2 gas plus 2 electron. That is overall oxidation reaction which takes place at anode. Here these 2 Cl atoms are cancelled, therefore 2 Cl ions gives you Cl2 gas plus 2 electron. And these electrons are pushed. These electrons are not pushed, these are pulled or sucked by this battery. This battery acts as an electric pump, and this battery sucks the electron produced at anode, which are lost by this chloride ion. And these electrons are pushed through this metallic wire in the external circuit to the solution through the cathode. So electrons from battery enter into the solution through cathode like this. These electrons flow from anode to cathode, and these electrons are then captured by sodium ions. Here at cathode, sodium ions are there. They accept this electron and form sodium atom. And as they gain electron, it is a reduction half reaction. So at cathode, reduction half reaction takes place, and sodium ion accept electron and form sodium atom. So net cell reaction which takes place in this electrolytic cell is what? The 2 Cl ions plus 2 sodium ion. Here you have to multiply this equation by factor 2, because in redox reaction or overall net cell reaction, the loss of electron must be equal to gain of electron. No electrons are involved in redox reaction, overall redox reaction or net cell reaction, and therefore you have to multiply it by 2. So for the balancing, so 2 Na ions plus 2 electron gives you twice Na. So overall reaction, if you add these two equations, then you will get what? Redox reaction, that is twice Na ions plus 2 Cl ions gives you 2 sodium atoms, and chlorine gas is evolved at anode, and sodium metal is deposited at cathode. So this is what about the cell reaction or working of the cell. So what is the result of this electrolysis of molten sodium chloride? That is, pale green gas is released at anode, and a molten silvery white sodium is formed at cathode. So what? The decomposition of sodium chloride takes place into metallic sodium and chlorine gas, and it is a non-spontaneous process. To takes place this reaction, electricity is required. So electrical energy is supplied by the battery, and that forces the reaction to occur. To takes place the reaction, electricity is required. That means electrical energy is converted into chemical energy, and electricity is consumed. It is used to express that reaction. So it is a non-spontaneous reaction. So like this you can carry out the electrolysis of molten potassium chloride, magnesium chloride, etc. The same way you have to write. This question can be asked for 3 marks, or there may be a draw neat label diagram. This type of question may be asked on this point. So prepare it well. Thank you.